Yet another Chinese EV brand eyes up the UK, but this one claims to be European. The Zeekr X isn't just another Chinese EV. That's what the very European executives were trying to make clear to me over dinner, anyway. It's built in China, yes, but it was designed by a German, engineered in Sweden, and developed on European roads. Does the nationality of a car maker mean anything anymore, anyway? Design and styling. The X is a compact crossover, because of course it is. Think Kia Niro EV and Cupra Born, although Zeekr claims to be more premium than those two. The spec sheet makes for familiar reading: 268 brake horsepower from a single rear motor, or 422 brake horsepower from dual motors and a 69 kWh battery. These are the same building block as for the recently unveiled Volvo EX30, because they share Geely's SEA EV platform. The EX30 is a very similar size and shape to the X as well, so it will be interesting to see what it will offer to set itself apart, other than a more familiar name. We will be able to bring you our verdict on the EX30 next month. For now, let's evaluate the X. The design is more coherent than some of the other new entrants, and less bland than the BYD Atto 3. But despite its extreme chunkiness, it's no instant design classic, and more so because it shares some cues with Geely's sibling brand Lynk & Company. Interior. Inside, it follows the BYD school of cover everything in synthetic leather, and call it premium, which is preferable to hard scratchy plastic but flirts with kitsch and might not age especially well. There are original details, though, such as the vertical bars of mood lighting, the rounded window switches, and an ingenious multi-level center console, with a fold-out cup holder and neat roller shutter. Typically for a Chinese car, the X is rather more generous with rear leg room than with boot space, although the latter is still more than serviceable, at 362 liters. Unsurprisingly, physical buttons are anathema to Zeekr, everything instead going through the 14.6 inches central touchscreen. This takes plenty of inspiration from Tesla's system, and responds quickly, but there's a bit too much going on, and some of the menus don't work in the most logical way. Thankfully, you can instead use Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which are integrated reasonably well. You get a crossover-appropriate, tallish driving position, on a seat that generally feels soft but pokes you in the lower back with overly aggressive lumbar support, even with that in its lowest setting. Engines and performance. What hope, then, does this chassis have of harnessing 268 brake horsepower, never mind 422 brake horsepower? More than I was expecting is the answer, but then I wasn't expecting much. There's a sensible amount of grip, and the traction control works well, allowing nary a chirp of the tires even when you try to upset it. Rear-wheel drive is standard, and a rear bias to the four-wheel drive car means there's more to powering out of corners than understeering disappointment. Copious body roll in the corners, and wild pitching under acceleration, and braking make going quickly more akin to powerboating than driving, however, while the steering tells you next to nothing. Many of the assisted driving features on my test cars were still in development, or simply switched off, so I will reserve judgment on those. Zeekr doesn't yet have an on-sale date for the UK, but it's a question of when rather than if. We will almost certainly see the X over here at some point. So friends, so that's a little information that we can summarize. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comments and share for other latest video updates. Thank you.